Hello. Got the Pellegrino today. I'm feeling fancy. How are you guys doing? We have some very interesting stuff happening right now in the market. We might be hitting a little bit of a bull run here, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. I don't know if you guys saw the quote I put in the chat. Michael Burry says, "Hey guys, I'm sorry I was wrong." What do you guys think about that? Was the man wrong? The man who shorted the housing market at the perfect time, the man who has been on top of the market time and time again. Humble enough to admit that he might not be right. I love that guy for that exact reason. All right. Welcome. We got some very interesting trades we are going to be discussing today. For those of you that like trading options, we're also going to quickly run through both AMC and GameStop charts because those are also very interesting right now. We've had some big runs in the last couple of weeks, and we want to make sure that we're charting those out to take advantage of any and all opportunities that present us in the market. So we're just about to get started here. You guys go ahead and hit that like button, baby. Same thing. Come on. 27 people. I want to see 27 thumbs up. You click it, just click it once. Don't click it twice. I want to see those buttons. Then let's hit that up. Show some love, show some support. I love you. I appreciate you. I would ask for the same in return out of the kindness of your heart. Show us some love. Hit that like button. We got 30 people now. Let's see that button hit 30. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that bell as well. You want to be notified. I'm going to be going live a little bit more often now, and some of them are going to be by surprise. The only way you will get that is if you are either in the premium Discord, which you can do by hitting the link that we got there in the description, or by just hitting that subscribe button and get some freebies, because that is the benefit of being here, my friends, and my friends you are. So go ahead and slam that. Come on, let's get to 30 now. Can I get 30? Can I get 30 likes? Hit the thumbs up. Can I get 30 on the thumbs up? Can I get 30? I got 17. Ooh, that's rough. Let's get to 30 so we can get this rolling. We got 32 of you here. Only 30 of you are on the line. Go ahead and hit that like. Get us started. I appreciate you. Show me a little appreciation. Help dad out with a little bit of like sauce on that button. Hit that thumbs up. It feels good. It feels nice. It feels right. Got a couple of SPY predictions here. I see Jeremy Dennis 416 tomorrow. Interesting prediction. Where else do you guys think it'll go? What do you think we're topping at tomorrow on the SPY? Let's see those prices in the chat. I got 416. Where's Jeremy's message? We got Jeremy Dennis 416 right there. I know you're I believe you just joined us last week, correct, Jeremy? Am I correct in that? Devastated 32 win 19 like. There we go, baby. Come on, get it in there. Smash that button, children. Smash that button, kids. You got this. Come on now. I wish I could like it more than once. Daryl Johnson, that's my guy. Appreciate you, my friend. We have 8 more to go. Come on, let's get to 30. We got 33 on the hook, and we got 22 likes going. Just smash that thumbs up. It's a simple click. It's all I ask for in exchange. Friends, good friends, dear friends, family, shall dare I say. Let's get that to 30 so we can get this rolling here. I like playing this a little bit like a game show. Have a little more fun with it. So we got Dustin's guess, SPY 412. Where do you think the SPY is going? I want to see your predictions. Let's see who's right and who's wrong. Come on now. We got 412. Jeremy Dennis put us at 416. Jeremy Dennis made 800% on Friday. That's my boy. What were you trading on Friday? I want to know what trades. Board. What's up, my man? Monday will end 409. Interesting. We got a couple more to go. Go ahead and hit that button. We got 7 more. We're at 23 likes. Hit that thumbs up, baby, so we can get started here. We're going to go through. I got 2 very, very, very quality options trades for you that I think are going to pay us over the long term. You know I like the leaps. You know I want to see more than 100% ROI. You know what I'm about, and that's what I'm going to give you. We got 2 of those on the hook. 2 big options trades. Our Baba trade just absolutely paid. We bought the bottom, and it ripped. Our Netflix trade ripped. Our NVIDIA trade is up 400% plus, regardless of your entry, whether you got in late or early. The early entries are up almost 1,000% for those of you that caught it. We got just a couple more to go. Hit that thumbs up. Let's get us to 30 so we can get started here. I'm waiting on you guys. I need you. Go ahead and get us up there, and we will get started. 38 on the hook. Hit that like button, and we get started at 30 likes. We see 30 thumbs up there. we get rolling. I got those 2 big options trades. I have 1 small cap trade I think is going to be very interesting for this week. You know I love trading the biotech breakouts, and I think I have the next one to put it on your radar. And we're going to go through some options trading strategies that you absolutely need to know for those of you that don't. And we're going to wrap it up with a little bit of trading psychology because, that's what we need to do. One more. Can I get one more? Can I get a hot tub? One more on that button. We're at 29. We just need one more faithful sub. I love you guys. Show us some support. One more. Come on. We're at 29. We just need 30. One more and we get started. 2 big options trades, small cap biotech breakout, trading psychology. We're going to chart the trades you asked for. Boom, there it is. Let's get started. Thank you, friends and family. Howdy, howdy, doctor. Amy's guest here. 403 retest and 412 end of week. I'll give you this. Down to the cent. What will be the closing price tomorrow? The winner shall receive 1 free month of rest and retire. Actually, no, 6 months. Let's go big or go home. Rest and retire is our 3 stock picks every month, our long-term growth plays. Lee and I and one other analyst have been doing those. They have absolutely crushed. The portfolio that I have that holds those plays is up about 46% on the year. Phenomenal long-term growth plays for those of you that can't sit around and trade all day. And it's even better for those of you that can trade all day because as you trade short-term, you add money into your long-term picks. So go ahead and throw your predictions in the chat down to the cent. Closest without going over takes the cake. Just in case we do have something close to a tie. So drop your prices in the chat. Nikki, if you could be a dear, I guess we could refer back. We could refer back to the chat. But if you guys want to go ahead and pop those in there, Nikki, if you could write those down, that'd be awesome. If not, we can just refer back to the chat. Drop your SPY closing price tomorrow to the cent. The closest without going over gets a free 6-month subscription to Rest and Retire. 3 long-term growth picks in the stock market. It has outperformed the market by about 35% this year. Those picks have absolutely crushed. You get 6 months for free. For those of you that don't win and are interested, I'll drop the link just so you can check it out. I highly recommend you do. It's a great long-term addition to your portfolio. You trade short-term to add to the long-term. Cloudy Farms Genetics. How many guesses you going to take, man? All right, that's your last guess. Jeremy Daniel, 406.88. Well, you just told me 416. Well, I guess maybe you meant on the weekly. So either way, money's on the line. Let's get it there. Closest without going over, SPY predictions for tomorrow will win the grand prize. So I want to see your closest predictions without going over to the cent, 2 decimals. 2 decimals on that. Where do you think the SPY will close tomorrow? One more drink of this delightful beverage. Ready, go. All right, so can everybody see my chart here? Can you see it clearly, cleanly, superlatively? Because we have the SPY chart up here. We're looking at the daily view. We have some very interesting stuff here. So as you guys can recall from our previous streams, we have this line right here, which is our trending resistance. We're going to go ahead and paint this red so it's easy to see and easy to understand. If you're lost, confused, or you need a little more help than on the beginning side of trading and you feel a little lost in the stream, please just type it in the chat. Everyone here, I promise you this, actually cares about helping you. If they can't, they can point you in the right direction. I want to make sure you guys are understanding what I'm talking about so it's not a waste of your time. JTK, my guy, long-term OG, Big Daddy member. How you living, baby? How you living? So, ooh, from the plane. I love that. That's true commitment, my friend, and I support and respect you. So we've got some more guesses here before we get into it. Frank, 414.30. Olga, 409.50. JTK, 411.02. Devastator, of course, you change yours again. Okay, 412.33. Kyle, 408.60. Jeremy Dennis, 416.09. Dustin G, 412.35. Doctor, this ain't a guess. 1 cent. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Whatever. That's your guess. Anybody? That's a risky position to take, my friend, but I respect it. What's up, Lauren? How you living? 410.55. And let's look at a couple more of these board. 409.11. Cloudy Farms, 415. The Sarge, 411.45. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So, as we discussed, we have this red, deliciously blood red line rolling through this price action here. We've identified our ranges in the last day of trading. We broke above a very critical point that we've discussed for many moons on this stream. So for those of you that have been watching, you had the opportunity to buy calls on the test of 397, excuse me. You should have seen at least 100 to 200% swinging these up to our close on Friday, 409.39. Remember, we have a short week this week with Easter. And just before I forget it, next week, we will be moving the stream to another day because it is Easter Sunday. So I will be with my family. I'm assuming everyone else will too. So next Sunday, we will not be here on Sunday. It will probably be Monday. So just an FYI. Now you know. So we've got our breakout here. The swing trades would have paid. Volume flowed in. We had this right here identified as our top of range, 403.76. And if you recall, we talked 411 to 409 on the downside. After we broke up here, we nailed it. It hit 409.39. So let's talk about where the SPY can go from here. So we can pretty much get rid of some of this clutter because we're not going to need it yet. We will need it again, and I'll get into that a little bit later just to tease you a little bit. Sometimes what you see isn't as it appears. So I do not think we are through the weeds and the thicket yet. So we need to identify a new range on the SPY. How do we do that? For those of you that are new, welcome, welcome. There's a very specific way that I like to break down these trades, guys. I think one of the best ways for options traders is to identify first the range. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so we can get a little more intimate here. One of the best ways for options traders to trade is to map out horizontal ranges and then trade from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom in that range. You need to be versatile. I do not want any of you to have a bias. I want you to be trading both ways like a champion would, meaning you could trade upside just so much as you could trade downside. That's how the real G's do it. I want you all to be a real G. Let's do live trading. Quick Wednesday on Monday. Market's closed Monday, is it not? Or is it Friday it's closed? Yeah. The following Monday's closed. Wait, it's closed on Friday, right? Can somebody check? Now I'm confused. Now I've confused myself. Either way, Easter Sunday option stream will be moved, probably happening Monday. I will post an announcement in the Discord. If you're not in there, make sure you join. I'll put the link below just so that everybody can get in there and get ripe and ready for that. I'm going to drop the link right here. If you're not in the Discord, highly recommend it. Trade alerts going in there daily. Live trading education course is completely free. You guys need to join. Take advantage. It's the best free resource you're going to get. And there's just the best people in there. So market is closed Friday. So let's talk about it. So, as I mentioned, trading ranges is one of my favorite ways to trade, and I think it's one of the best ways to trade options effectively and efficiently to make the most of your money. So, we saw the breakout on the SPY. If you're not taking notes, you need to take notes now. We're at about 13 minutes and 50 seconds. We're about to get into the SPY here. If you can't have your computer up, I would definitely take notes. You want to map these ranges. I'm giving you all the secret sauce. Exactly the price targets, exactly the support and resistances. You are going to be able to trade this on your own. I want you guys to be self-sufficient and independent in your trades. Following along, there's absolutely no problem with, but I want you guys to have all the information, because if you see a trade alert come out that might be in contradiction to the charting that we did, I want you to know that so that you know the risk going into it. And if you have your own plays you're looking at, I want you guys to be able to take into consideration what we're breaking down so that it makes sense and you could fit them within those lines. Expand your knowledge, expand your practical education, your practical wisdom, and then become a better trader, because that's what the goal is at the end of the day, is to pop that ATM machine right in your living room and start churning out cash right into your wallet. So we broke out above 403.76. Trading opened at 404, and this thing ripped. We talk about our price targets last week being 409 to 411. That range was where we were aiming for. It hit 409.39. It went a little bit higher to about I can't even see what that price is without zooming in. It went a little bit higher to about 410. So we were right smack dab in the middle of that range, and we held up. And here's the important thing. What do we talk about volume? Volume always precedes, leave it to the chat. What does volume always precede? A change in what? Type it in the chat. Volume always precedes a change in. Drum roll, drum roll. Come on. Volume always precedes a change in price. We had a few right answers. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Volume always precedes a change in price. Write that down in your diary. Write that in your notebook. Write it on your face. You need to remember that. So, as we broke up, how can we confirm that that was strong bullish price action? Well, the first thing we want to look at is volume. Strong to the buy side. If we go a little closer to the hourly chart, you could see here that on an hourly basis, bulls were in effect buying throughout the whole trading session. Okay. Look at this volume compared to the rest of these days. And now when you go back to the daily view, which is what we want to keep our eye on, look at this volume compared to the previous couple trading sessions. We are starting to see an uptick in overall volume here on the SPY, which tells me that market sentiment might be turning bullish. It absolutely might be. That's something I'm willing to say out loud. Out loud. This is a very interesting thing because we saw such weak volume throughout the week, and then we had a boom, big daddy bang type of day, which tells me that market sentiment might be turning. Now, it doesn't mean go all in. It doesn't mean we're all long and all bullish. It means that market sentiment might be turning, and we're going to trade it until something changes or we get new information that allows us to make a better and more informed choice. So our next top of range, aka our next target, and where I think SPY will trade to next if it continues to the upside, is right here, marked at about 414 and change. Okay, again, do not get fixated on down to the cent. It's not relevant. We just want to be within, 10 to 20 cent margin of error. Close enough. So we have two, in my opinion, key points that we need to see strength over. We're going to split the middle. And then we're going to go back and we're going to try to confirm. There we go. This is what we're up against, my friends. SPY has moved. If you're looking closely at the chart here, I'm going to zoom in extra careful. It has absolutely ripped through this area from 405 or so to 415. It did it here, and then it ripped through here, but again, to the downside. Ripped to the downside. Then what happened? We found a new relative low. We bottomed off at 350, and then we ripped back up. If you guys remember, we traded this perfectly. We talked about going long off the support bounce at 360. You guys should have made a couple 100% on those trades. And if we zoom back out, we did the same thing when we found support at 375. So clearly we're on to something with the strategy that we're employing here to trade SPY options. SPY has ripped through this zone, not once, support bounce, but twice, then a third time, then a fourth time. Look at this volatility. It's insane. This is insane volatility for an index. Can I get an amen? It is. So what that tells us is the price, this is an area of indecision, right? An area of indecision in which, I would say more of a pivot point than area of indecision, excuse me. Meaning buyers and sellers like to go to war in this little segment of the market right here. Bears panic, then bulls panic. Then bears come out in force, bulls come out in force. Why does that matter? Because if you can figure out where the fighting ground is, right? All we're going to do, we're not moving the market. But what we can do is we can trade the direction that we're given. And as we trade that direction, we can get high velocity delta trades that make us a ton of money. So we've once again, just like we did here, seen a strong green day, just like we saw here, just like we saw here, Just like we saw here, we've seen strong bullish momentum through the same zone that we've seen it through 5 different times. So what does that tell us? Tells us that the past is going to repeat itself. The past is simply the future with the lights on. Mark Hoppus plus 44. So the question, how do we trade this? What do we do? So we start at 403.76. That's the origin of the story, right? Our new story, a new chapter, if you will. We talked about bullish price action. Should we break above it? We broke above it. So what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to test the top of range, which we've identified at 40, what do we say? 416.56, give or take. And we're going to mark this as resistance 1. And then we're going to add one more, and this is resistance 2. Okay, resistance 1 and resistance 2. We're going to go ahead and make these a nice sexy red, because why not? So that everybody can understand that these are points of resistance that we need to be aware of. We have to respect the market, my friends. Prep for the boomer market. So we broke above 403. That was a pretty critical price point to break above. As you could see in numerous if we go to the weekly, in numerous trading sessions, we really struggled to get above 403. That was our first pivot point. I think that began to tip the scale in a good way. Now, sorry. My wife sneezes so loud. That just reminded me of how loud her scream sneezes. Oh, God love her. But this weekly chart is something else, guys. This is our 200-day, right? We got our 8-day and our 13-day, and then the 200. We don't need to clutter our charts with a bunch of nonsense. If you're interested, this is the EMA strategy I use. The settings are as follows: the 8-day, the 13-day, and the 200-day. That's all I'm using. What I want to see is the 8-day trending above the 13-day, and both of these shorter term EMAs trading well above the 200-day. That indicates strong bullish momentum, right? We're trading above the trend in the upward direction. Then we look to volume and RSI as our confirmation indicators to tell us, okay, this makes sense. We're not just making things up in our head. Something very interesting about what we have right now. This is the weekly chart, guys. Important. Long-term chart. The more long-term, the more data you can compile into the kind of the scope of your view, right? Like if you look at it this way, like we're looking at the whole picture rather than just a little segment. Day traders focus on a very small segment, and they trade that small segment. We're mostly taking a swing trader and a long-term investment, growth trader, etc. We're taking that point of view mostly in everything I'm talking about, because it's kind of how I am. I can day trade, yes, I can do that stuff, but it's not really where my interest lies. My interest lies in analyzing overall market trends and then boiling that down into a smaller, shorter term strategy that we can capitalize on to continue accruing into the long-term position, right? NVIDIA was a great example. Netflix, great example. The SPY trade's great example. BABA trade, great example. Right now, we have strong bullish momentum on the weekly chart. We picked up off support. We didn't even retest the 200-day again, which I would argue is a pretty good indication that we are heading to we're going to experience a little more upside. On the weekly, volume picked up the past 2 weeks, slightly higher this last week, but not a lot. And then as we talked about this RSI strategy, you just want the 9-day and the 14-day on there, okay? We want to see this 9 trending above the 14, telling us we have more short-term strength than long-term strength, but they're both heading in the right direction, right? That indicates strong, long, bullish momentum. We look at the price action. We make our observations. We then we could go a number of ways, but let's say, to keep this simple, price action, let's identify our thesis. Where do we think the market's going and why? We then look to confirm that thesis to see if we're heading in the right direction. Okay, looking at the EMA strategy we just discussed, we got the 8-day trading above the 13-day, both of which are trending above the 200-day. We had a support bounce off the 200-day, and now price action has picked up after consolidating a bit, continuing above the EMAs, which is good. That means we're trending in the right direction. We had a strong inflow of volume over the past couple weeks to the bulls, to the bullish side. Then we go to the RSI to confirm, okay, well, we're trading above 50 on the RSI. We have the 9-day over the 14-day, which means we have good short-term strength, which is good. So we'd say short-term strength on the RSI, short-term influx of volume, good. Trading above the EMAs, price action looks favorable. We held our price all the way up at the end of the week. So basically what that means is this week, bulls started here and finished here. They didn't push up and get slapped back down. They pushed the price up and they held it there. Right? They identified strength. Is everybody following me so far? Type a yes in the chat. Yes if you're following. No if you're confused. Do not be ashamed to be confused. I care. I want to know. If you're not understanding, then I want to make sure that it's either explained in a way you understand or that I direct you in the right way so that you can get some help to understand. Because I'll be very honest with you, the stuff we discuss here, this is what's going to make people rich. You use this information in your short term and your, not long term, but in your swing options and your day trade options, you're going to make a stupid amount of money. If you come here every week and you listen every week and you learn these strategies, I'm giving you the sauce, man. I'm not hiding anything. I'm giving you the secret sauce. If you follow these strategies, you follow this analysis, you learn, you earn, you grow, you're going to have a substantial amount of money in the next 5 years because we've nailed it every week. Not a single week have we not been prepared for the SPY and had a number of losing trades from our stream. Not once. Not a single time. So, I'm glad you guys are following. We have strength on the weekly. So now we're at about 27 minutes. Be mindful of time, 7:34. Okay, good. So what does this mean for us throughout the week? Again, over 403.76 was a pretty important thing to see. Bulls held price into close. We had a strong close to the week. Good. It's going to be a short week, low volume week, so don't expect much. But it also means that there's opportunity. Basically. Whoa. That a boy. Justin Damp. I love that. I love an F after a P. I know I've told you that, but I just love it. I'm happy to hear that, brother. Built a pool house. Send me a picture of that pool house. I'd love to see that pool house, man. That actually sounds awesome. I wish I had a pool house. Cheers, my friend. I'm glad you're making money. So, what we're going to expect if bulls continue 414. Our first point of contention is going to be 412. I think if we see a strong push to 412, here's what we'll likely see. We're going to break this down into the hourly to get a good idea of our short-term trend strength here. We're going to map some things out because we're going to need to trade this intraday as well as from a swing position. We gapped up, which is good. We're trading well above our support here. Again, if you're looking at these EMAs, you look for support touches and then you look at how much they expand and contract. But you can always just draw your run-of-the-mill support line and measure off of that, which long-term, which is why it's thicker, we are quite a bit above that long-term support line, which is good, but it means usually we'll always regress to the mean, right? We'll revert to the norm, go back to the middle before continuing. So right now we are in absolute purgatory. For a swing trader, this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare hellscape to open a position. Good thing you don't have to because we talked about opening that swing position as we came back down and tested 400 bucks. Actually, no, it's this day. As we came down and tested just below 400 bucks, that's when we talked about opening that swing trade. So if you opened it, you should be up substantially right now. I would not open it here in purgatory, right? This is purgatory. Here's your resistance. Here's your support. You are smack dab in the middle, which means, let's say you take calls here, right? And you take them for a month out, which means you have time. And price just absolutely tanks. We're going to draw this out, right? Because it's something you need to see. Let's say you take calls. You're down 60, 70, 80%. You sell at a loss. because you're like, I'm screwed. Ugh, I can't believe I did this again. Then what happens? Well, that was a support bounce. We consolidate, and then boom, you see those calls going up 200-300%. That is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make when they trade from purgatory. Here's the other reason you don't trade in purgatory. SPY's going up. You go, you know what? I'm trading puts. This thing's got to come down. Boom. Just kidding. No, it's not. Hits resistance. You're down 50-60%. You go, oh my God. I should have listened. It's gonna break. I'm switching to calls. It's gonna break up. He talked about it. If over 414, we go to 419. I'm gonna trade calls. I missed it. Then what happens? Price dicks around at resistance, comes back down. But you bought calls right here, right? It's what happens all the time. I'm saying this because I've done it myself. When you initiate trades in purgatory, what you're essentially doing is you're cutting off your hands and trying to make a sandwich, right? Because the upside is cut in half, more than half in most cases. But as the upside gets cut in half, that means the downside doubles. More than that. The downside, I would argue, goes up 10 times. For like, say, for example, you're looking at calls right here. Your downside, I would argue, is 10 times higher if you buy in the middle. Why? Because when we first started talking about this, right, we bought down here on the support bounce. But let's say we were buying the breakout of 403, right? What did we talk about? We talked about it pushing up, coming down for a support test. So let's say you bought like right around here. You saw a little downside and then SPY ripped. Your downside was maybe minus 10 to 15% as it came through here. If you buy them right here, your downside is negative 50% at least. Why? Because you're not going to want to sell until you go below support. So that means that the max you're willing to lose on that trade is now probably more than your stand to gain on the trade. Whereas if you buy, like, for instance, if we would have bought right here on this support bounce, right? And we cut it loose, if it breaks under 403, we're willing to lose 10% to make 30, 40, 50% as it runs. So that's risking $1 to make $5. Those are good odds. I'll take that. Don't risk $10 to make $5. Don't risk $1 to make 50 cents. You just don't do it. Your risk reward should always be, at the very least, 1 to 1.5. Meaning you're willing to risk $1 to make $1.50. If you follow my trades and you like what you're hearing, I go for 1 for 3. I want $1 risk to equal $3 reward. That's what I'm looking for. That's where I found my sweet spot of my strategy. Do not take any longer-term swing positions in purgatory. You are killing your portfolio. It is begging for your mercy. It wants you to stop. You have to stop. You are murdering your portfolio. Stop it. Don't do it. For some of you, let's be very honest, you're murdering your kid's college fund. Why? Don't do that. You are stealing from yourself your dream vacation. Why? The addition you wanted to do to your house, it's gone. Why did you gamble it? For what? To make 10%? No, thank you. Don't do that. I decided when I came back and started doing these, I was just going to be more blunt with everybody, pretty much. Because you guys need to know the truth. That's the truth that I confront myself with. I don't say anything to you that I don't say to myself. If I look at trades like this and I take trades like this, if I buy in purgatory, I literally will say to myself, like, dude, wasn't your wife just saying, that nightstand, just like, because we have a nightstand, it's like, really, it looks like shit and it doesn't work. I had it in college. It's so old. Looks terrible. I could have a nightstand that's functional, that I look at every night and I go, that looks nice. And I use it every night. But I take a trade like this and I lose 2 grand and I go, oh man, what happened? Do not take a trade in purgatory. Do not take a trade where you haven't already factored in the risk to reward. If you can't tell me when you're executing a trade, here's exactly how much I'm willing to risk versus exactly how much I'm willing to risk, and here's how much I'm going to make, then just I'll take your money. Donate it to I have a charity that helps families. Donate it to us. Donate it to our charity. It's tax deductible. You get more for that than you do giving it to some dick in the market. Don't do that. Some market makers just taking your money and laughing while they do it. Don't do that. This is a place to day trade, not a place to swing trade. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm not going to trade that. No, there will be opportunity. Here's what it'll be. We have a critical interaction coming up. I like a support test here, right? Now, here's how you take, oh, I missed it. This is what he was talking about, the swing entry. No, it's fine. We've got the hourly chart up here. Let's go to the 4 hour. That gives us a little bit of a cleaner indication, right? We've got an easily identifiable trend line right now. Short-term trend line right here. So dotted means short-term, long-term is a straight line, right? The firm boys. You've got your short-term trend line right here, okay? Price has stayed above, strong, right? You've got your EMAs drawn out. If you want to swing from here, that's fine. Buy off the trend line and cut it if it breaks. You will then have limited your risk to at most 10 to 15% on those options by buying off the trend line and cutting loose if it breaks. I'm telling you right now, the likelihood of coming down to retest this 13-day EMA, that is imminent. If we look at any past strong runs on the SPY, right, where it rips like that and finds a new high, right, we always come down for a support test. What goes up must come down. Now, it might go up even more. If we can see here, it walked up from, 386. It walked up to 400. Okay, cool. Let's map this out. How much does it typically move from the highs? So 406 to 377, right? So it's 23 plus 6. So 29, let's call it $30. $30 move from here to here over a matter of weeks. And then we've got 377 to 398, so a 20-something dollar move. Then we came back down, called $10 move, and then once again, that's 386 to 416. That's a big move. It's a $30 move. So $20 move, 20-something dollar move, $30 move. Let's look here, 4 to down here, 393, another $20 move. So my money's on a $20 move. So let's look at what we've got, right? We're at 380. We topped out at 390, $20 move. What do you know? Came back down, found support, 390 to 410, $20 move. What do you know? Is everybody seeing the pattern here? What's the pattern here? What am I angling at? What am I trying to bring everybody's attention to? What did you just glean from the information I just shared? Let's hear it. Make sure you're following along. Nobody knows. I would argue that both of you nailed it. Measured moves, measured $20 moves. Stocks are easy to predict, you guys. They are predictable. Hence the point. Why? Because people are predictable. What drives the stock market? People. People do. We've talked about it a million times. How do you be the best at this? Know yourself. If you understand people, this is nothing. Because people drive this in large. It's like, if we see $20 moves frequently and consistently, why do we think we're going to see a $50 move? Better question, why would we bet on a $50 move? if we've seen $10, $20 moves. We don't trade to win every trade. We trade to manage risk and continue to compound our capital, compound our money, and turn it into more money. Again, money babies, because it's predictable. That's why you guys are here. You've seen it be predicted, right? Maybe you didn't follow it. Maybe you didn't trade it right. Whatever. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. But you've seen that the stock market's predictable. There are these simple little trends that if you follow them, you'll see patterns. If you can see patterns, then you can predict patterns. All we're doing is speculating to the best degree we can with all the information we find while minimizing our risk. And we're trading within those lines, right? Like, I'm a firm believer that the whole thing is rigged. It's all nonsense. However, if you know the game is rigged and you know the rules, doesn't mean you can't play. It means you have an advantage. Self-awareness, self-honesty, that's a huge advantage that most people don't have. Most people are ignorant, foolish even, because they think that they've figured out something that nobody else has. This is not some sort of crazy insight. This is just like, this is plain and obvious. This is common sense. The SPY moves in $20 increments. That's what it's done a million times over. So let's trade this $20 increment, make a ton of money. And then guess what? Let's trade that $20 increment again and make a ton of money. There's no reason we can't keep doing that. Last time we broke above 403. This is what we pointed to last week. We ripped to 415. Could we rip to 415 again? Absolutely. Would it be worth a day trade at open if we see a strong open? Absolutely. Aiming for 414 to be safe. Why? Because we've seen it in a single session. We've seen it move up to 415 from this 403 to 415 in a matter of 2 trading sessions. And then we've seen it bounce down at 407. So here's how we're going to trade this. First, we're going to trade it open, the bull scenario, to 414. So 414 calls on a strong open with a very, very tight stop loss, because the odds of us testing support are greater than the odds of us ripping, right? But market sentiment is strong right now, so it makes sense that it could rip. So if you're willing to take risk and you manage your position very well, you have a lot of skill, you've done this for a number of years, taking that day trade at open is fine because you know how to trade it. If you're new or you're even the slightest bit nervous, don't take it. For those of you that have been with us for 3 years, you have seen us trade for 3 years, finding trades that win 100%, 200%, 300%. If you guys have missed it, surprise, 3-4 years over and over, every week we find winners because the stock market is predictable. And we've built systems and strategies that take that into account to give us the max reward for the minimum risk. And then we spit that out to you guys. You guys trade it and you make money. So do not ever tell yourself, this is a trading psychology tip of the day. Trading psychology tip of the day. Do not ever tell yourself, this is the trade. I can't miss this. That is the greatest lie you can tell yourself that will murder your portfolio, because there will be another trade just as good tomorrow. And we find them every week. We discuss them every week. We have literally nailed the SPY week in, week out, week in, week out, to the tune of over 4,800%. From when we started doing this stream, the options that we've discussed, 4,800% net return on, if you combine them all together, right? Now, obviously not everybody's taking every single play. I'm not even. But I'm just demonstrating a point here that we've been able to do this consistently. Let's keep doing it. There's no reason to change the game today. Pretend we could change the game, think we have power, and then get beaten to death with a club. We sneak in, we take our money, we sneak out like a ninja. So if you are an experienced day trader, this is your bull scenario number 1. Bull scenario number 1. Calls it open, I would aim for 414, give yourself 2 weeks expiration. Trade this on a strong move up, similar to what we saw on the 16th, so right after Valentine's Day. We opened and came down to about 408. If it comes down and you see a nice little scoop down and then we see a rip to 412, you should make a pretty good return on that trade. And if we came down to 408, guess what that point of confluence would be? That's a support test. So we look at one trading day, right? Where it came down, tested support, and then ripped back up. If we saw that same pattern that we saw back then tomorrow, it would be in line with our theory that this is a short-term support line. There's your confirmation. You can buy calls on that support test of 408 and change. Limit your downside because you know if it breaks support, I'm exiting the position, right? So you've calculated your risk. You've also calculated your reward in that you are maxing your reward. You are buying at the bottom, trading it up to, I would say, start selling 412. Potential to 415, but 412 is safe. So if you're taking the 412 to 415 calls 2 weeks out on the support test of 408, let's draw this out. Let's draw this out to keep it simple. So if we trade sideways and then when we open up, we come down and test support, to me, that's the buy. For those of you that wanted to day trade some calls, that's the buy if we get that support test. Why? Because we've seen it a few times before, right? We've seen it bounce and rip. Support at 408, 406, 408. Right here, we're looking for 407, 40 and up. So call it 407, 30 to 408. That's your support bounce. This trend line, draw it on your chart so you have it. That's your bullish scenario number one for day traders. And start selling those boys when you hit 412, 413. You should be up 20, 30%. Don't fool around. Scenario number two is we open and we just rip and we go right to 414. So again, those calls will be purchased at open, but you're taking significantly more risk because the odds of coming down and testing support are pretty high, I would argue. Could it rip like it did in the previous, what was that, 2-3 day session? Yes. So this would be for the more experienced day traders that know when to limit risk and know how to trade these intraday strong moves. This is something you could do. If you're newer or you're primarily a swing trader, this is not what I would do. It is very risky because you're going to be panicking as you hit support. You might sell at a loss. Boom, it hits support, it bounces up. Plus the risk. So this is our midline, right? Like this is our relative anchor. Is this support line right here? What I mean is that that's the pivot point where we know going up or down, right? If it hits support and goes up, we know we're going up. If it loses support, we know we're going down. You don't want to buy. This would be a purchase in purgatory. You don't want to buy here and then hit support and then break down. Because instead of buying off support where you lose maybe 5-10% if it breaks, you're losing 10 to 15% as it hits support. And then if it breaks, you're losing another 10%. You're now at negative 25% rather than negative 5% or negative 6% because you bought it off support. So again, this is a higher risk strategy, I would say, definitely for more experienced day traders. And then I think realistically, like those two are the most likely to occur. Worst case scenario is we open low in pre-market and then we sink back down to test 403. So if we see a gap down pre-market, I'm going to be hesitant. I'm not going to trust it. I'm not going to like it. It's probably not going to be good. And I think we'll come down to at least 403, or we'll get some sort of crazy news because, guys, remember, if you haven't seen the news regarding the geopolitical stuff of like basically the oil trade moving to the yuan, the Chinese currency, that's a big deal if that happens. There are a number of other moving political pieces that you need to be very aware of that could hit the market like an anvil and destroy you to the downside. We are propped up. We are not bullish and supported. I think we are propped up right now. Doesn't mean it can't continue to go because, again, this is all magic, a mirage. So keep that in mind. Keep that at the top of your mind. Always be prepared. I don't want you guys to ever go into a situation unprepared. I have failed if you are. Those are your three scenarios, right? The two bullish ones, the beginner, the more advanced, and then the bearish scenario, at which point I'm probably not even going to trade because I just wouldn't even trust downside right now. The only thing I would trust is upside if we see it. I don't trust downside yet. Now, if we break below 403, then I definitely trust downside. But let me talk to you about something that I think is possible to occur that I think is very worth discussing. It's very much so worth discussing and being aware of. We have in front of us a very interesting situation. So we are dialed back on the monthly chart, excuse me, right now. We are dialed back on the monthly chart right now. Okay? This is the monthly. That's a long-term chart. This is important. Oh God, we're gonna have to get rid of all this. So this is our monthly. Again, each one of these bars is a month of the SPY. Here's something to be aware of before taking and opening any large, long-term swings to the upside. Yes, we're trading above. Those EMAs are trading above. This 8-day looks like it's trying to cross over the 13-day, which is good. But guess what? It hasn't happened yet. We don't have a cross and we don't have a confirmation. Part number 2. We have a long way to go to this 200-day. We don't have a backstop. If it blows through this right here, there is no backstop, guys. There is no backstop. Other than I would argue that support line right there, this support touch 350s was important. But if we look at this as a range, right? We're trading to the top of this range, which means we're going to be bumping our heads. Above that range, we have a lot of room. Within the range, we don't have a lot of room. So if we come up and we test that 415, 420, remember, you've heard me say it a million times, over 430, and I think bulls can start celebrating. Over 430, $430 on the SPY, I think bulls can start celebrating. But I wouldn't just yet. I do think there's a very strong likelihood. Look at this RSI right here. That 9 days got to cross over the 20 or the 14, excuse me. And the 8-day has to cross over the 13-day, right? So basically what we need to see is confirmation, right? Starting to turn bullish. We had volume come in. We need to see a strong test of this resistance with a strong support test. What I don't like is that if you look at these days right here, right? So this was 2 weeks ago. This was so this is March, February, January. January, we saw a higher low than the previous December. Then we see a higher low in February. In March, we had a lower high and a lower low. So we're keeping this very simple, guys. We tested as high as 416 and change on the monthly. And we went only as low as 392. In March, we went as low as 378, and we only went as high as 409. Friday's session, right? How do we know a trend is being confirmed to the upside, right? Higher low, higher high, stair step, right? If we look at past sessions, right? When we had this huge bull run from 300 to 470. Oh, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, but higher high, right? Same thing. Stair step up. We don't have that right here. We just don't. If we look back at December to January, January was a higher low, but not a higher high. Then you go to February. We had a better high, higher high, lower low, or higher high and higher low. But then in March, we couldn't continue that trend. We saw a lower high and a lower low. So unless April just rips and stays above 392, if April on this monthly chart can stay above the 392, 393, I'd like to see it above 400, but it can stay above 392 and we can push a higher high, higher than 416, I would say I want to see like 420. We're golden. Probably bulls on parade once we break out. It means we'll just continue up, bumping our heads here until we hit 430, and then we'll inevitably test $500 on the SPY more than likely. I wouldn't be surprised over the span of a few years. But if we go back to the weekly, right? Remember, we treat RSI the same way we treat the chart. We want to see higher highs and higher lows on the RSI to continue confirmation of an uptrend, just so much as we want to see it here. We broke up right there, but we have to see a strong move, I would argue, higher than 416 to really trust that we're going to head to upside. If we don't, then I think we're going to bump our heads and likely come back down. And either if we don't hold, this will be our pivot point. Once we go over, we're going to aim for about 420, 430, 403 being the midline. If it breaks below 403, then we're trading puts down to 380s, right? That's the long-term strategy here, not short-term. So intraday, we need to be mindful of this. We are right in the middle of this channel. We have a little room to upside. We have a lot of room to downside. We have confirmation of upward trend, but we also on the hourly have RSI above 80, which means we're overbought. We're very overbought. Remember, we have our intraday support that definitely is that looks pretty strong. However, if it doesn't hold on the support test, right, that we talked about, if it doesn't hold on a support test, then we're not going to keep going up. We're going to come back down to 403 and test that. So I think, oh yeah, I love Rage Against the Machine. When they came to Chicago, I went and saw them twice, 2 days in a row. It was that good. That good. So those are our three strategies for the intraday. That's my long-term outlook. We're going to go into depth on that even more over the next 2 live streams because we're going to start building into our longer-term position, which if we continue moving up will be to the upside. If we hit our heads, it will be to the downside. I prefer the downside because we have way more. I think we can create a much more calculated strategy and trade to the downside if we can continue pushing up here than we can to the upside. I think there's more money for us to make to the downside. But everybody loves seeing bullish price action. Who am I to say? So that's our SPY. If you need to revisit this, it will be posted later. We're going to get into a couple of other, I think, are very high reward, low risk options trades. They're long-term trades that I want to see at least a 1 to 200% return on. I know it's ambitious, but I think minimum 50% gain. I would like to see 1 to 200. So first up, Palantir. This has been a hell of a trade. We were buying, if you got the alert, I put it out. We were buying at $7 on these support tests and this push down. I bought at $6.50 and $7 on my last ads as we had a nice trend up here. I want to go to the weekly for this to show you the upside we're looking at here. This is definitely a bottom bouncer, right? Huge buying a few weeks ago. Volume has been very weak lately, so this is a contentious point right here. If we can see strong price action through this week, I've already added one of these to keep on my watch list. This is the trade I mentioned last week. I think it was the $16 calls for a year out. They're up, I don't know, 5-10%, not much. But I think we're going to see a little more downside here. And then I think we're going to have a pretty strong support pickup, mid 760s. That's what I'd like to see is mid 760s being our low. And then I would like to see a retest of $11. And if we get that, because remember, we broke this downtrend. Now, this is our next kind of pivotal critical point here is this 200-day EMA right here, right? Like that's our next resistance that we're up against. But that's okay because we have a long way to go until we even get there, right? Like we have another 50% move before we even hit that point, which means if we start loading on those options now, we could see a pretty strong move. But what I like even more so is we need to be mindful of the timing of this move because remember, this was like everybody's in the market, bull market, everyone's getting free money. Of course, this rips. But it also tells us that we have very strong liquidity through this zone, right? Meaning that price can move up quickly just so much as it can move down quickly through that area. And then we have our 2 consolidation zones. So this is going to really, I think, make this trade make sense for you guys. I think this is a really good way to explain it. And I think this will make it, it'll make sense. Because I've spent a lot of time analyzing this trade. So we have what I like to think of on this trade. This is our liquidity zone. I think this, oh, you don't want that. We can just leave it at that. So this is our liquidity zone, right? Meaning price moves quickly through this area. You've seen it happen, right? It's not just guessing. We've seen it. So what we're trying to do is capitalize on that movement. Now, to the upside, we do have one thing working against us. And that is this 200-day EMA right here. It's going to function as a point of resistance. But I think that we've been loading up the equities. Remember, low sevens, high sixes. That's gonna be a good trade no matter what. You're up 10% no matter what. That's gonna be a good trade, trust me. The option's a little riskier, but I think if we start loading up on those right now, so I was looking at I believe the $16 call. I think I did mid next year, so a year of time on that option, right? We could pull up the specific contract. Do not fret. Loading that around 780, 790 on these little jaunts down. Because again, we had RSI hold up here. Everything looks good. We have confirmation of continuation of trend. We're heading towards $10, right? We either double top and sell off, or we push through. This is a company I know a lot of people believe in. I think they have very strong cash. I think it's a great company, so I'm not going to get into the argument of the fundamentals. Let's talk about the chart. This is our demand and this is our supply, right? For our relative perspective, this is how we're going to make a ton of money on this trade if it continues the way we think it will, or I think it will. We take those $16 to $20 calls, year of expiration. We're loading the absolute bottom. Price moves and breaks up. We see continuation over 1026. We want to see a little support bounce. Then we're going to hit our heads on this resistance right here, this 200-day EMA. Once we break that, I want to be very clear. Once we break that 200-day EMA, nothing is stopping us from $20. It moved in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. It moved from 10 to 20. It doubled. And then in call it 6 weeks, 7 weeks, it moved from 20 to 10 and even lower. This liquidity zone means that we have an opportunity to re-enter price discovery should we continue to push through this zone. Means that prices move quickly through here. We're going to anticipate the same move to the upside should the chart hold up, right? Because especially if you're sold on the fundamentals of the company, then you know it's a good buy. We're just basically taking in options. We've already took our equities trade. This is an options opportunity. So now let's scout through. Let me pull this up. Give me just a second. I'm gonna have to do it on my phone. Shit. Give me just a second. We're gonna pull up the options chain here. It's the Weeble one. It's messy. Actually, no, we can look at it as options. Boom. Let's do it on here so you guys can see it all rather than just me relaying it to you. So let's look at the options chain. Here are expirations. We can go out as far as January 2025. However, I don't think that's going to be our max return. Let's look at this. So if we went January of 24, that gives us almost a year. I'll take it. And do we have any volume here? We don't have much. What's our open interest? So our open interest is strong on the $10 call. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Let me look at this. $15 call 2025. That's what I started adding to. It was 2025. So decent amount of open interest. Not as much as I'd like to see, but enough. Strong liquidity on the 10. No one's trading these leaps yet. This is that's call. Oh, my bad. That was puts. I'm an idiot. Yep, very strong open interest. That's what I thought. Sorry, I'm an idiot. So we've got the PLTR options chain up here. We're looking at the January 2025 $15 call. We've seen a decent decent size order flow, decent amount of volume. Implied volatility is already picking up, but it's not too high in my opinion. So these aren't getting overinflated. This is about 14%. I like it at $1. That's where I'd try to secure the entry, is around $1. If you can get $1, $1.05, $1.10, you'll be fine. I think you can trade down to about 90 cents. Can we show this on the chart? Yes, we can. Oh, just like this. What the hell? No, I thought it would show the chart like it does. That's annoying. Sorry, I thought it would show the chart like it does in Webull, or like it does in shit. Like it does in what's it called? God, I can't even think right now. Thinkorswim. So basically, we're looking at this $15 call. I like it as a buy around $1. Am I going to alert this in the options channel? Yes, absolutely. I already took one of these just to keep an eye on it. I'd like to say that I bought 895, but I didn't. I bought one a few days ago. We mentioned it on the last stream. Yep. Thank you, my friend. Board. That's for Palantir. I want to start layering into this because I think that we are going to see a pretty substantial move up. And again, we have over a year, guys. Like, that's what I like about that right there, is that that's 650 days of expiration time. So if we expect the implied volatility to go up 60-70%, it's going to stay a lot lower because they're leaps. However, that delta 0.38, even though we're pretty substantially out of the money, the delta on the 10s is extremely high at 0.61 on a $10 call, right? And we're still, that's the next strike up, but it's still reasonably enough out of the money that I would argue that that's a pretty strong delta to see. So delta goes up, these options basically gain in price more quickly. I think that $15 call is going to pay us substantially. If we go back in time, I don't know how I can show you that on the, it doesn't show you the, oh wait, what? It does. It does. Hooray. So this is the chart for that $15 call. It was just issued in November of 2022, and it went to a high of $2 and then went to a high of $2 again here as Palantir ran. So that means we have 100% upside from here. Okay, 100% upside from here. We need to get over this minimum 30%, right? So there's our 200-day EMA at $1.30, right? Same thing with the Palantir chart. These are no different. But we could see where all the buying has been happening. And it's been, honestly, I think in my head, breakout buyers that are just like, I'm going to become a millionaire, not people loading the bottom. I think we have caught on to a trend here of some smart people loading the bottom, right? See the couple of days here with pretty decent buying. And even more so right here as this trade down to 50 cents. Somebody loaded the boat and made a substantial amount of money as that ran to $2. But I think we're buying in a nice place where I'm comfortable between $1 and $1.10. But we want to see this push above $1.30. But let's go back to the Palantir chart, because that's what gives us the gumption here. We need to pay attention to the stock, and the options will follow. But there's enough open interest on those that will have liquidity. So I want to see a breakout above 1020 after we get above this 200-day EMA, at which point I think these options are going to absolutely explode over the next couple of months. Again, we have 2 years expiration. Very rarely can you buy, in my opinion, a trade that has this much upside and limited risk at a low price, meaning those options are only $100 each. Someone with a smaller account can purchase those and see an unbelievable return. However, here's the risk. If Palantir cannot break above that 200-day EMA, meaning we can't break over and hold above $9, this thing's coming back down, and it's just going to flop like a dead fish around $6-7 for probably another 6 months. So I'm not loading the boat yet on those. I bought one to watch it. I want to see the test here and even a test of 1030. I'd rather pay a little more and take significantly less risk than pay a little bit less now and take infinitely more risk. Does that make sense? because I don't have enough confirmation to say the trade's a go, in my opinion. I want to see that breakout above the 200-day EMA, and then I want to see it above 1030, at which point then we're going to make money as this continues up with strength. So that's number one. Number two, we talked about it a few times. Where is it? I wanted to check on this one real quick. Very similar setup, right? We've seen quick movement. This is PayPal, right? This is why I like you guys are starting to get an idea as to like what I'm looking for in these trades, right? We got our small little consolidation zone. We're bottom buying here. Our entry on PayPal was 69. We bought this breakout right here as we came and tested at a low. We wanted to see a breakout there. It went up as high as 88, came back down, and continue buying here. Our next test is 90 bucks. We had it marked out right there. We need to see this break above 90, and we have even more upside here on these leaps for PayPal. I would say we'll go 160, 170 calls for a year out. Those leaps will accrue some phenomenal value if we can see another stair step move like we did back in March and May of 2020, which I think is fairly reasonable. It won't be as sharp. It'll be something more like this. But if you look at that, that's January 2019. That's 6 months price appreciation 75 to 122. That's a crazy move, guys. It's almost 100% move on the stock, which means those options will be up significantly more than that. I want to take low risk, high return, long-term trades that those of you that can't sit there and day trade every day, I want trades that offer you substantial return without exchanging a ton of your time, and I want like an easy breezy play. You just buy it and you just wait and you just watch it grow. And then we're going to work through selling calls against our position. So if we get a strong move up, we sell right above the resistance, and then we collect that premium while we continue to hold, and we get paid to do nothing. And I'll teach you how to truly turn this into a long-term cash machine. So our two trades that we're keeping a close eye on, that we're beginning to consider a position in, Palantir and PayPal. Both in tech sector, both a little risky, but again, we're in the bottom of a small consolidation area. I think we're starting to see a little more upside. They both have that 200 EMA right above their head. We need to break above that, and they ironically both have a pretty significant resistance at that same price, which is what it is. This is your pivot, 90 bucks. Above 90 with confirmation, it's going to 165, I think. Which means that if we're trading 150 calls, 160 calls, we are going to, at the very least, double our money, right? We've already bought the stock. I bought the stock at 69, bought equity. We're already up. That's going to continue accruing. That's a long-term position for me. We're going to trade the options too, and that's where we're going to see the 2, 3, 4, 500% trades that just make us stupid amounts of money. So I really hope you guys are following that along and understand the strategy and can appreciate the patience involved, because it's not the easiest thing. Again, this isn't saying don't actively trade. I think you should actively day trade small positions, but these are the positions that you want to add into and build up over a long period of time that are going to be larger positions. Like that Netflix position was a larger position. NVIDIA was a larger position because I had a strong degree of confidence and all the technical indicators lined up that told us if it goes over this price, we have confirmation of a bull run for those specific stocks, right? And then that happened. We got confirmation. They ripped. Same thing for these two. If we continue here, we've got our critical pivot points, breaks above those points. We have confirmation. We hold on to the trade. We got a fantastic entry. We're going to see 200-300% returns. We make money. We get rich. Everybody's happy. Bada bing, bada boom. We're done. So I have one more I'm going to pull for you guys. Really quick, just to check in, because that was a lot of me talking and not a lot of chatting. Is anybody absolutely lost right now? If you understand, give me a yes. If you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Give me a no. Yes? No. Yes? No. Board brings up a good point, but the difference is PayPal is tech at scale. I think they are one of those. They're not. I don't know if they're qualified as a bank, but I think that they have market share to take as these smaller banks get pushed out of existence, which is what's happening. I think PayPal has market share to capture and integration as a payment partner for a number of other businesses, banks, et cetera. So banks that don't have tech have to get tech. So basically, I think there's meat on the bone for PayPal, personally. Again, type yes if you understand, type no if you're completely lost. Do not ever feel ashamed to say, hey, I'm lost. The smartest people I have ever met in my life are willing to say, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Can you explain that again? They're the smartest people in the room because they say that and they ask those questions. So be the smartest person in the room and ask those questions. Where is my swing filter? There it is. There she blows. Oh, one of my favorites for small cap trades. This is one that we've talked about on stream a number of times, guys. This one is such a fun one to trade from $1 to $1.20, and now it is got some upside. So again, this is one we've traded from $1 to $1.10, $1 to $1.20. This is your repeat trader. For those of you that remember Tagman, he loved finding those little teeny ranges and just trading them back and forth over and over. If you want to use the stock market as a cash printing machine, find a trade that you can replicate over and over and over and give yourself free money. This stock has come down to between 90 and $1, 1, 2, 3 times, and given you 20% plus each time. There's no reason not to take that setup. The last time it went from $1 to 213, giving you 110%. So what are we expecting here? I think that we could see continuation here from this one. If we stay above 115, this could be a phenomenal continuation trade for those of you that like day trading, momentum breakouts, and then continuing through with the swing trade. I think above 115, this thing's going to easily go to 130, 140. If it goes to 130, 140, then you got to test resistance here at 160. I wouldn't go past that. This would be a continuation momentum trade above 115. You cut it off at -3%, -5%, meaning if it breaks 3 to 5% below 115, I would probably just exit the trade. Again, you can use these EMAs here as your functioning support and resistance, but this one is a reversal trade. It is inherently riskier. However, with a little bit of volume, this thing can move pretty quick. So I think if it stays above 115, keep it smart, keep it safe, keep it tender. Above 115, continuation to 125 plus. This would be a day trader's dream here. If it cannot hold above 115, I would exit as fast as humanly possible. But I think that there's some good meat on the bone for those of you that have a little more skill with day trading. What else do we got here? We got no. A lot of these are reversal plays that I don't necessarily like all too much, and I don't want to take the risk on. However, oh, that's a fun one. But I got to see this chart because this might be another opportunity here. No, thanks. Next. Ooh, this one's got some meat on it. It's got some room to run. Interesting. So this is ONCS, small cap or maybe even micro cap biotech. Interesting setup here. It looks like we have a little bit of flagging going on here above 189. So we're at 250 right now. So like ideal buy was 215. This one could be a nice breakout trade though. I think if we could push above, what is that? We got to stretch this out. It's got a lot of room, and this thing, if I recall, we got to look at the float, can move rather quickly. It's opened up strong to 324. So I think if we can break out above 260 and hold, I think realistically we could see $3. That could be a nice little day trade for you to really get the day going here. It looks like above 260, above 280, it typically goes to $3. But I like buying 250, tight stop loss, very tight stop loss, and then trade it for a push up to at least 290. You can get at least 10% on this one. Again, this is a bottom bouncer reversal play, a lot of risk here, but this thing has the potential to move. Looks like it had a big, strong buyer the other day. We're going to go over to institutional interest and see what that was. And I also want to check the float here, but it's trading against pretty long-term resistance. It's got a $10 price target from, I never heard of BTIG or Dawson James, but Piper Jaffray, $4. Maximum group went from 60 to 17. Jeez. This one would be some to ask Mr. Stocklock Profits. He's Mr. Clinical Trials. Looks like insiders made some purchases. $6 million market cap. Price to cash is good. Expecting 30% growth, strong quarter. 21% short float. Ooh, that's probably what this is. Could be a nice short runner. Let's take a quick look. Let's take one more look at this because we're pushing up against 830. Come on, load. Sorry, guys, it's taking forever to load. There we go. Oh, this float is only 2 million. 20% of the float is short. This could be a fun one to ride on, guys. 20% short interest. This one could be fun. Keep this at the top of your watch list. I think this one could be very interesting with a lot of upside, but also a lot of risk. And please be mindful of that. Incredibly oversold. But if we go back down to like the hourly, right, gives you an idea of how quickly this one moves with that float of 2 million from 217 to 320 something overnight, from 219 to 348, right? Same thing, 218 only pushed as high as 265. But if it can hold up above 240, so that would be the buy. Look for a buy around 245, tight stop loss, and then watch for retest 270 and then $3. I think that could be a phenomenal trade to watch. This is a top of watch list. I wanted to find like a really interesting biotech with a low float that you guys could possibly trade and make some stupid money on. I think this is it. And then we'll wrap up with our trust in Netflix. Reclaim that trend channel after really sinking down to about 293. Huge buying coming in. This one picked up strength quickly. Support touch 323. I closed all my short contracts on this. I am only in the long leg of the options trade that we're still in. Alerted back in my channel a couple of months ago. I am looking to see movement up to 360, 375 again, and inevitably, because we have those are leaps, guys. So I think we're going to retest potentially. I think we could test 390. Really, as we talked about when this is trading at 175, we talked about how we were going to see 350 again. What we were hoping is that we'd see about 390 to 400. I think we're going to get that move. I really do. And we are reclaim that trend channel, which means there might be swing opportunity there. Somebody brought that up. Who was that? Was that the doctor? My friend. I'm still holding the position we were in, but I'm going to put something in there because I do think if we can hold this channel, we could still see a nice move to the upside here. I'm just a little nervous about how tech's going to play out over the next couple of weeks, and we're really just kind of hanging by and watching as the interest rate nonsense continues. NVIDIA just continues pushing higher. That was a hell of a trade. But keep a close eye on those biotechs. Again, we went through the SPY, went through our options trades. We got PLTR and PayPal on the top of the roster for the long-term leaps. Please, please, please keep those on your watch list. Watch this and rewatch it again if you have to. I want to make sure that you guys have a good understanding of how we're taking these trades, why they make sense, and what the risk is, so that you can determine whether or not it makes sense for you. And I'm losing my voice. So I love y'all. I love y'all dearly. I love you dearly. Stay blessed now.